In the dangerous intersection of journalism and power, truth can be a death sentence. On October 19, 1986, Nigeria changed forever when one of its brightest journalistic stars was silenced in the most brutal fashion imaginable. This is the story of Dele Giwa, the pioneering editor whose life ended with a package bomb that shook Nigeria to its core and remains one of Africa's most notorious unsolved assassinations. January 1985, Nigeria's media landscape was forever changed when four ambitious journalists, Dele Giwa, Ray Epo, Dan Agbese, and Yakubu Mohammed, launched Newswatch magazine. Dele Giwa was its charismatic editor-in-chief and CEO, a man who had walked away from the prestigious Sunday Concord newspaper after won too many battles with his powerful owner, Moshood Abiola. Initially, Newswatch enjoyed a cordial relationship with General Ibrahim Babangida's military government. The magazine was perceived as slightly right of center, even publishing positive appraisals of the new regime. Giwa wasn't just any journalist, he was well connected with access to the highest corridors of power. So well regarded that Babangida himself granted Giwa a rare interview for Newswatch November 1985 issue. But what Giwa and other journalists failed to realize was that the government's friendly outreach served a more sinister purpose. The regular briefing by Brigadier Aliyu Mohammed, head of the National Security Organization, weren't merely about transparency. They were about observation, monitoring, identifying which editor might become problematic. In 1986, the wind shifted. The Directorate of Military Intelligence summoned Giwa for questioning his alleged offense, possessing a copy of Special Military Tribunal judgment in the Vatsa coup case, which they feared he would publish. By September that year, Giwa found himself summoned again, this time by the State Security Service, after publishing a story on the government's introduction of a second-tier foreign exchange market. But the most ominous confrontation was yet to come. On Friday, October 17, 1986, just 2 days before his death, Giwa was called to SSS headquarters at 15 Awolowo Road, Ikoyi, Lagos. Inside, Lieutenant Colonel Ajibola Tunde Togun, Deputy Director General of the SSS, launched into a hostile interrogation, leveling 4 explosive accusations against Dele Giwa. 1. Planning to import arms to cause social unrest and destabilize the government. 2. Colluding with socialist students to plan a revolution. 3. Preparing a controversial article on the exit of former CGS Ebitu Ukiwe. 4. Defending Police Superintendent Alozie Ogugbuaja, who had criticized the military. That same day, Giwa reported the matter to renowned human rights lawyer Gani Fawemi. It would be the last legal counsel he would ever seek. Saturday, October 18th, the day before the tragedy, Dele Giwa's wife, Olufunmilayo, received a peculiar call from an unknown caller asking for her husband's whereabouts and his office number. She received another phone call. This time, it was Colonel Alilu Akilu, Director of Military Intelligence, asking for their home address and stating the President's ADC will be dropping off something for her husband. Newswatch London Bureau Chief Kayode Soyinka was present during this call and later confirmed hearing Funmi describe their house to Akilu. Sunday morning, October 19th, just 40 minutes before tragedy struck, Colonel Akilu called Giwa directly about his gun-running allegation leveled against him, telling him it has been dropped and he has nothing to worry about. At approximately 11 a.m., with Giwa's regular security guard away at the market, 2 men in a Peugeot 504 arrived outside Giwa's home. One man dressed in a white suit handed a brown parcel to the neighbor watching the house, Malam Musa Zibo. The parcel bore the Nigerian coat of arms and an inscription from the office of the C-in-C, which reads Commander-in-Chief. It was marked secret and confidential and warned it should only be opened by the addressee. Giwa's 19-year-old son collected the parcel and brought it to his father in the study where Giwa was in meeting with colleague Kayode Soyinka. The moment he broke the seal, a massive explosion ripped through the study. The blast was so powerful, it threw Soyinka across the room and impaired his hearing for 5 years. The study erupted in flames. The heat was so intense that it burned Giwa's clothing into his skin. Still alive but critically wounded, Giwa was bundled into a Volkswagen and rushed to First Foundation Hospital in Ikeja, 10 kilometers away. There, Dele Giwa, aged 39, one of the pioneers of Nigerian journalism, died from his injury. On October 8, 1986, he was buried in his ancestral village of Ugbekwe, Ekperi, near Auchi in Edo State. In the aftermath, Chief of General Staff Rear Admiral Aikiomu and Minister of Information Tony Momo promised a thorough investigation. Assistant Commissioner of Police Abubakar Saab was assigned to the case. The police questioned several people close to Giwa, including his ex-wife Florence Itagiwa and business figures who had had disputes with the journalist. But when Saab attempted to interrogate Colonel Akilu, Lieutenant Colonel Togun, and SSS Director General Ismaila Gwazo, he hit a wall. Saab recommended that Akilu and Togun be interrogated and their offices and residences searched. Shortly after filing this report, he was removed from the case and reassigned to an armed robbery investigation in Benin. But one man refused to let the matter die. Human rights lawyer Gani Fawemi fought tirelessly through the court for a private prosecution of Akilu and Togun for the murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The legal battle dragged on for years, reaching all the way to the Supreme Court, which granted Fawemi's application in 1987. But when the matter returned to the court, Akilu and Togun simply did not appear and the case was dismissed. To add insult to injury, Akilu and Togun successfully sued Fawemi for defamation, resulting in a 6 million naira judgment against him. Fawemi himself was arrested and imprisoned multiple times for this persistence. In year 2000, 14 years after Giwa's murder, the Oputa panel was established to investigate human rights abuses. Fawemi petitioned the panel to summon Babangida, Akilu, and Togun, but all three men refused to appear, obtaining a high court order preventing the panel from summoning them. Their legal representation, none other than Clement Akpangbo, who had served as Babangida's Minister of Justice. Fawemi alleged that Giwa was murdered because he was investigating a sensational story linking a drug carrier named Gloria Okon with the wives of senior military officers. Okon had been arrested in 1985 at Aminu Kano International Airport with several kilograms of cocaine, but later died mysteriously in police custody. A judicial commission was established to investigate, but his findings were submitted to Babangida's government and never made public. However, Newswatch's own management later denied planning such a story. The plot thickened in 1993 when Edmond Kechukwu Oyemma claimed in Tell magazine that he was a former DMI operative and an accessory to Giwa's death. Oyemma alleged that those involved were promised new identity if they left the army. Newswatch also received an anonymous handwritten confession from a police officer claiming involvement in the murder, pointing to officers at the Ilupeju police station who allegedly knew Giwa's killers. Nearly 4 decades later, despite most of the principal witnesses and government officials still alive, Dele Giwa's murder remains unsolved, but its impact cannot be overstated. It was a watershed moment in Nigeria's history, the first time many Nigerians became truly afraid of their own government, a brutal message sent to journalists that would cast a long shadow over press freedom for years to come. The parcel bomb that killed Dele Giwa didn't just end one man's life, it exploded the myth that speaking truth to power in Nigeria came without consequences. In the debris of that explosion lay not just one man's remains, but the shattered illusion of a government that served its own people. This has been the Dele Giwa's affair, Nigeria's unsolved assassination. Join us next time for another chapter in the hidden history that shaped our country.